Hi everyone, Saturday 17th of June, 18 minutes to midday in Australia, and here's my latest video blog. Pretty excited about this one. I'm going to cover just a couple of things, and one of them being Cliff High's Naked Wealth Report number 3. The reason why I want to go through it is I want to just read out certain sections and then allow myself to express how I feel about it instinctively at those moments, and give you a bit of a summary of what I feel might be happening. Now, a couple of things I just wrote down on my notepad here before I wanted to move on. And one of the things that I've noticed in the crypto space is, Cliff High talks about these particular crocodile teeth and those type of things, and I mean we do see that in normal markets. And however, I think due to the energy that's within this crypto space, it's going to be very, very aggressive over the next 2 years. This is definitely very similar to the dot-com era in the sense of the excitement and the new entities coming out and expressing their projects. There's a lot of money flying left and right, so that's why we're having these massive influxes and waves of injection and excitement into the market, and that's not going to stop. And I think we've got 2 years plus. Who knows? I'm just guessing, but I strongly believe the next 2 years are going to be pretty frantic, and it's going to pick up. Now, one thing I wrote down was bots. I do believe big money's already entered the market, and we are seeing some organic growth and volume, and then there's these periods after we see a pump in the price where the bots come in and they really chop away at people with weak hands, or people who are making emotional trades, and just people who are trading in general. And what's happening is people are accumulating their position on one particular entity via automated trading systems, whether they've got people in a room behind the screen or they've actually got automated bots. I'd probably say there's a little bit of both going on, and you can see that, and you can see it when you look at some of the charts and you look at some of the cryptos. At certain times the charts are almost identical, same timing, same similar sort of in and outs and volume, and even today when I look at it, there's a little bit of similarity, but it's nothing like it was, I'd say, yesterday and the 2 days before. After we had this massive crash, you could see it was very, very organised, a very well organised structure in the graphs. But all I'm saying with that is just be mindful that there's these crocodile teeth explosions are there for a reason, and that is for maximum opportunity in regards to instant gains. People are maximising their potential to improve their position at those moments. Whatever you do, be mindful not to buy at the top, because what you're going to find, there's going to be a down. That's just how it's going to be. It's going to be very aggressive. If you can wait out and start to learn the graphs, you'll see there's a bit of a plateau. When there's a plateau and you feel it's at the bottom, you've got to get in, because there's going to be an influx, especially on the major coins. And the other thing I wrote down was, if you want to know what coins are getting the attention, I'm on Bittrex. Now, I go to Bittrex and I look at this very often, and I have so for the last 4 or 5 months, especially in the last 3 months. Look at the volume that's within any particular coin. Now, things like Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to have quite high volume just based on the premise of their blockchain. That's just how it is. When you look at the altcoins, now today, for example, we've got Litecoin and BAT, and LTC have got very, very high volume. Now, they haven't had this volume before. Now, in recent times, I'll say. Litecoin did have an initial burst a couple of months ago or a month ago, and then it has really plateaued out. And what we now see is that both of these coins, and I've got it in the middle of the screen, have got 3,772 bitcoins and more volume, if you like, moving through that particular coin. Now, when you go to the chart, if I bring up the chart, you'll see that there's been massive pump going on. Now, this is a very good example of Litecoin. Now, this has been very similar thing throughout the last 3 months for every single coin, and I'm watching it left, right, left, right. So it doesn't matter what coin it is. You look at the volume, you'll see the pump, and what you can do is you can actually get in on these if you're if you can identify it early enough. However, again, speculating is not necessarily my thing. I like accumulating, and I'd probably look at Litecoin. Litecoin's going to settle at a new price after this, I feel, and I think over the next couple of months we're going to see all the coins definitely jump up and another stage. Definitely the ones that have got value and have got development programs and things in place. People are getting a little bit more savvy. However, there's, like I said, there's massive financial groups maximising, and they're moving from one coin to another. So one way you can do it is look at Bittrex, look at volume if you want to get the coins that are getting the attention at that moment, and that's quite common. And things like Ripple and things like that have been very, very steady, so it doesn't always apply. So you've got to use a little bit of nous to make these determinations. What was the other thing? Yes, the other thing I'm looking at is I think in the next couple of weeks we're going to see a bit of a jump up in price across the board. So I can just sort of feel it, and the reason why I can feel it and say these things is because I've been a little bit obsessive in regards to watching the markets every day for the last 3 months. So I sort of feel like I'm plugged into the matrix here and watching all of these influxes, and I also can almost feel the energy within. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who can feel like that. And if you can sort of feel like that, I'd be interested for you to just make a comment on my YouTube or on Steam It when I post this video. It'll be quite an interesting subject to talk about. Now, getting onto the webbot. Now, you've got to take these things with a grain of salt. I like Cliff High. He's obviously a very intelligent man. He speaks well. He's articulate. He's got some years under his belt. I think I like the premise. I can feel his energy, and I think it's all right. Now, whether he's making money from these webbot reports and things like that, I don't know. So what? I think he's putting in an effort. He's putting these out there for people to analyse. You've got to just show your critical thinking and pull out of these what you think is relevant to you. Now, there's no doubt there's been some ups and downs in regards to his information. I think his crypto, Bitcoin, non-manipulated areas of his reports have been very accurate, and I think some of the other stuff may have been a little bit off whack. But even when you think about being off whack, that's all relative to what you're actually looking at and your perspective. So sometimes we might miss a particular event that could actually verify that he was right or not. So and again, there's other people doing these crypto reports, also these webbot analysis, if you like, or interpretations on their YouTubes and things, and even then it's a perspective. It's how they're interpreting. So what I wanted to do today is I've got the crypto crocodiles naked wealth report 3. Now this is more specific to the crypto sector. So it's not his normal webbot report, as far as I know. This is the first time, and I thank a friend of mine who gave this to me so I can actually run through it. So we've got the crypto crocodiles. Now the crypto crocodiles is if you look at the teeth of the crocodile, that's just a little bit of a not necessarily, it's almost a cliche now in regards to the way the cryptocurrency market is moving. We're getting these massive pumps, as I showed you with the Litecoin, and then there's a 2 to 3 day release of energy as the webbots kick in and try to take their winnings. So this is not going to stop. Now this is the forecast from July 2017 through to 2018. I'm not sure how many more he's going to be doing. He has got this labelled as number 3. This is all copyright, by the way, by Cliff High, so I'm not claiming to own any of this. I'm only making an interpretation on his information. So first thing, note to readers. I'm going to be reading some of this out if you haven't been privy to any of this, and I'm going to be very selective in what I give you, and then I'm going to just make some interpretations as I go. So note to readers. This is the period of the hyperinflation language that has been forecast in the Alta reports and the previous Bare Naked Wealth report. Not all of the altcoins are showing in our data sets as surviving through the period of hyperinflation, which is also not clearly defined in its extent, but does show as continuing through into fall. Fall meaning autumn in the Northern Hemisphere. Those altcoins and others listed are not guaranteed to survive this period, though many will. Those coins discussed herein met the requirement of having both minimum levels of linguistic support in terms of data sets, as well as having enough identified temporal markers to be able to provide the sophisticated speculator with some small linguistic guidance to potential activities within the trading of these vehicles. Again, note that we are linguistically within a period defined as hyperinflationary. This means that inherently risks are masked or hidden by large capital inflows, but they still exist and, if anything, are magnified. Just from that, there is big money coming in. So sometimes it can be manipulated by an event. Or it's being affected by an event. So if a particular coin gets a corporate entity who now is about to inject X amount of millions of dollars into an entity, you might see an influx in the price, and vice versa. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's masked. So you've got to show some due diligence and make sure you do your research on all of these cryptos. Okay, don't just buy wildly. I've done the due diligence on all of my cryptos. Doesn't mean I've got it right. So far, it's been pretty good. However, I'm continually doing so because the market can change very quickly. Warning, danger, Will Robinson, stop now, go back up and read again, which means trade on the information within this report at your own risk, as I just said. So, metadata. Now, I'm just going to read this one. The data sets have the emotional flow within the financial realm over the last half of 2017, running into a big intensity wall of rising emotions over fall. That the data sets have deriving from imploding and self-immolating government. Okay, so I think the government's putting down and we've seen it last 2 years, they're putting in all these ridiculous restrictive laws, the police are getting bigger weapons, and there's all sorts of crap going on in America in regards to the political, I think the whole structure of it's starting to crumble, and I think, I can feel that something big is going to happen in the next couple of years, and we're right in the middle of it. And I don't mean to scare you, and I'm not a fearmonger of any sort. I'm just sharing with you something that I can feel. I've been feeling this since the beginning of 2016, and I think it's coming. So let me just go through this. Now, coming down. Now, he's got a lot of key words. So the language showing up for July includes major aspect sets headed by aggressive, energetic, frenetic, frantic, chaotic, other words that are going to be descriptive of lots of activities at an energized pace. These are sets indicating that the pace will be kept up through August. So just have a quick read. So I think the note on crypto meta markets movements. The data suggesting that a curious effect called by US as HPF, sloshing, that is caused by movements of large amounts of wealth into and out of currencies. Our data forecasting model space is warning about the sloshing effect, but also about hidden cores, which are the openings of the ICOs that will be occurring. The idea is that as the new currencies are each coming online, some of the liquidity in existing currencies will be drained out. So what that means is the current sector or the capitalisation of the market at a certain stage right now, there's a certain amount of money in each of these cryptos. Now, as the attention, right, that's a very key word, as the attention and the focus moves from one coin to another ICO or back to Bitcoin or to ETH or all of these different coins over the next 6 months, what we're going to see is the money move in and out. So that's where I talk about the volume. You can see the volume on Bittrex and some of these other markets as an indicator of the slosh. And imagine it's like water, okay? Energy moves. It's a moving entity. So it's very important that you keep your eye on these things to get a good feel of it. The idea is that as the new currencies each coming online, some of the liquidity in existing currencies will be drained out. This sloshing effect is a contributor to the wild and wide swings, or the wild and wide swings to be witnessed over summer. In the Northern Hemisphere, 2017 and beyond. The more popular and oversubscribed the new ICO offering, the harder the slosh will hit. This is expected to be very difficult for ETH, as it is the most commonly used cross-currency at this time. So what I think he's saying there, or the webbot's saying there, is that you're going to find ETH will be pumped up and then there's going to be a drain. It's going to be drained out and we're going to see some of these crocodile teeth, especially very similar behaviour to what happened from Bitcoin between 2010 to 2017. We saw some very, very big aggressive movements, and we've already seen them in the last 2 months. The same thing's going to happen to ETH. It's already in a little mini bubble at the moment, I feel, due to all these ICOs. So there's going to be a couple of corrections. However, just be mindful. Now, note on these dates, These dates are provided within the report that are to the level of granularity that the data types allow. Please note that these are all assumed to be within the minimum error range of IM data or 3+ dates. So that's his little disclosure there. So trade with dates from this report as targets at your own risk. Okay, due diligence. Now, what I like here is his little legend. Now, this little legend is about codes to be encountered within the report. So there's different terms that come up about certain coins, and I'm going to go into these coins in a minute. So the codes are, we've got acquire to hold, which means long-term, short-term to be indicated, and applied to specific tokens or coins or complexes. The second term is acquire this space, and there's subcategories of the cryptocurrency, which equals a portfolio balancing should include from this space. So acquire to hold means buy and hold, either short-term or long hold. Acquire this space means to obtain a portion or a position in this particular cryptocurrency and allow you to add it to your portfolio. Cautious acquisition is a likely short-term profit potential which may exist, but some aspect of the coin, the space, or the developing environment suggests being very aware of changes within the expectation of rapidly exiting the coin or space. Now, this is something I've been really thinking about. Is certain coin at the beginning. So let's go back to March. We saw a massive influx, lots of excitement. All the coins rose, right? And I don't think it really mattered what you were in. There was just big money coming in. And everyone's going, yay, making lots of profit. Now, what's happened is people are going to then start, like I said, looking at the fundamentals of these coins. There's going to be lots of ICOs. There's going to be a massive bubble, insurgence of new interests and new attention. So people, and it can move very, very quickly, and people are going to move out. The slosh is going to happen. So be mindful of what you're investing in. Flutter equals potential exits. Now, the space is cluttered. The coin token complex under discussion does not have enough differentiation or data to warrant more than a minor play due to some small level of future potential. Acquire and transfer out during periods of rising demand and strength should developments warrant, but likely outcome is none to small levels of growth over the short term. So basically a stagnating coin, a bit of news, gets a bit of an influx or a flutter. You might make a flutter in the sense of putting some money on it and taking a gain. And we're talking about trading here, and then getting out when the slosh happens, I suppose, when the movements occur in the volume. Something I'm not really into. I like to look at the more solid coins. A couple of the minnows who've got a bright future, but that's me. Now you've got punt. I think everyone knows what punt is. Acquire with awareness of risk, potential for immediate release, pop, likely followed by a near-term drop and uncertain future prospects. You can almost say a punt is getting in on the rise of one of these pumps and hoping that there's still another 5-10% at the top, and then getting out and taking your money. Very similar to a flutter, really. Again, risk. Is that what you really want to do? I'd say you have to be very, very qualified to make any trading of those type of trades where there's flutters or punts or getting in on a pump can be very, very dangerous in regards to your position. But it's all relative. If you never sell your coins, guess what? You don't lose any money. And I think people need to remember that. If you're in for the 2-week gain, you maybe have to wait 3 months to get your return back if you tend to buy in on a high. I mean, that's trading experience. Now, the crypto space. Openings, debuts into crypto space. I'm just going to, like I said, I don't want to read into too much of this and to take up too much of your time. I'm trying to be efficient here. Now, Bancor. Now, I'm going to say something straight off with Bancor. I've been in some groups. Now, I take everything with a grain of salt, and I never ever listen to what anyone else says, even if they're highly qualified. Reason being is that I must make a determination of the truth based on my own research. That is how I lead my life. Now, people who do not do that, I would say they're victims to falling for a regurgitated information. A regurgitation of information is a very, very dangerous premise. That's why we have so many arguments in society, is because we are always fighting our own beliefs, because we believe what the doctor said, we believe what the scientist said, we believe what our parents told us. It's all about belief systems. What you've got to do is research. Now, Bancor, what I've heard on Bancor, I'm going to speculate here in the sense, this is what I'm just regurgitating. I have not got proof. Bancor has got a backdoor within their cryptocurrency that allows them to generate more coins on demand. So I'm going to allow that to manifest itself, and like I said, I've made a claim here. However, I have no proof, and I've only saying that because I've heard that in a group. And so just be careful, do some research, and find out these answers for yourself. But you know what? There's always negative stuff, and people say horrible things about people and entities all the time. So take it with a grain of salt. So what they're saying here is this section reviews new offerings in crypto space on technical and linguistic levels. In this section are discussions of the new coins, tokens and complex structures that are soon to be offered or are already in the ICO phase. Now Bancor, I know, just is fresh, just came out. The Bancor network token is undoubtedly going to make someone some money and may even pay off for some very early participants, but the underlying premise is flawed. The language describing their purpose is vague, and much of the presumed value of their coin is in other coins. Thus, they are vulnerable to both individual coin fluctuations as well as network irregularities not foreseen by their programmers. The claimed special use case is not sufficiently robust to prevent other coins from naturally evolving this function. By analysis, including technology appraisal, there is not enough to distinguish Bancor in cryptocurrency space other than a vague attempt to replicate some banking functions. A shorter term also player not likely to survive the competition over these next few years. It's a punt potential, so it sounds like a bit of a risk. So I'm not going to take this as gospel. I have to go and research it. I'm not into Bancor, and I'm not going to go into Bancor. I just don't feel it. However, that's the Webbot report. Cryptvisor, I've never heard of it. There's so many coins, I have not seen it. It could be an ICO coming out, and I think it is by having a look. Now this is a Flutter. Now what I'd probably, he's got Flutter here as a word, I probably want to skip anything where there's a Flutter, in the sense that I don't want to go and feed out and waste this video on reporting on the Flutters, because that's high risk stuff. What you can do is go and write Cryptvisor down, go and have a little bit of a read. It looks like it's got potential for a little bit of a quick gain. That's basically what they're saying. Yep. Now the next one is Dao.Casino. Now I think the casinos are going to do well. At some stage there's going to be a casino-based gambling website, blockchain, that's going to do very well. Now I'm invested in peer players. I'm not a gambler, but I'm actually invested in peer players. This is Dao.Casino, an online gambling venture self-funding method rather than a true cryptocurrency. Noted herein as the first is in this subcategory of esports, a category of tokens not for the outsider. Many sets in linguistic predicting chaos and many closures and forfeitures involving online casinos. Much risk. These casinos' offerings will be gambling in and off themselves. So a very risky sector to be in. I think, you know, if you're going to put money into anywhere in life, you can gamble your money away, or you can put your money into other people. Invest in yourself. Invest in cryptocurrencies that got a future. That's not gambling, that's research. Encryptogen. I like that word, but let me have a look. Punt potential. Much risk of holding long term. Okay, again, I'm not going to go into this one. I don't know anything about it. Looks like it's a legal backing for medical procedures. I've got my own theory on medicals, and I'd have to look into that a little bit more. And many flaws exposed for a group claiming to represent data security. Okay, I'll leave that one. Fantasy football coin. Acquire to hold is the... looks like a long term. So this is get some into your portfolio, sit on it. It's basically what I'm saying. So I'm going to read it out. Language in model space has been confirming for several months the rise and continuing progress of the esports categories in all their plethora. It is a wide field full of players with more on the way daily, all metaphorically using sport metaphors. But many of the coins in this space will be very long-term MVPs to those with the savvy to quarterback their own scouting. Some nice colourful language there. If you are not mindful of the esports space in general, it is best left to those more aware of the nuances that will determine success. And that's fair. I think you've got to focus on what you're interested in, focusing on what you know and what you feel that you're going to keep researching. Otherwise, you're gambling and you're just sort of hoping and crossing your fingers. Again, write it down. Fantasy football coin. Go and look it up. I'm not going. It's not something I'm going to do. Doesn't interest me. I'm in peer plays, and that'll be enough. I'm interested in the graphene-based blockchain, Digibyte, and some others. Now, Gigawatt, offering exposure to the infrastructure for the new economy, new currencies, long discussed in our predictive linguistics work. The Gigawatt concept coin is tokenizing the sales of equipment into the mining communities. It's a cautious acquire rating, okay? Cautious, very long-term hold. Acquire this space, mining equipment sales. Yeah, if we're about to go into a financial crisis, I can see a lot of mining companies actually suffering a little bit, and I can see some mining equipment companies also suffering, and I just feel that that would be a very cautious thing to do. I'm not even going to read that one out. Kin, again, a lot of these I have not heard of. This is the coin of the Kick social media chat app ecosystem. This coin is likely to have staying power and advancing power as it is both designed in terms of its intended use and socially driven. The largest element suggesting success is the very dedicated instant user base of the Kick social media platform. Not yet live at the time of this writing, the above analysis is suggesting of another hit in the coin universe as it is rolled out and put through its paces. Now, when it says hit, they're talking about webbot hits, meaning that they're predicting this one to be a success. They haven't necessarily been wrong. So write down Kick, have a look. Again, I might actually write that one down while I'm here. Grab a pen. I do like the social media stuff. You know, anywhere where there's communities, I believe, are going to do well. So even when you're making investments, have a look at the Telegrams and the Slacks and the groups. See what type of people are in these groups, and if you can relate to them and you can feel the good energy, I think you're in the right place. Kick. Good. I'll continue. What have we got down here? So Kick for Kin. Sorry, Kin was hold this coin. So acquire this space. So maybe go and get a small amount. It's not even out yet. I'm not sure, but not yet live. So Mauda. Or Moda. This is a complex coin. It blends P2P lending, micro-lending, social engineering. I think there's a lot of these. One tax cycle in Brazil. If it should survive a year of actual operation, I'm not going to read that. It's a cautious flutter. See you later. Monaco bank card. A lot of people told me this is a scam. Now, when they say scam, what they're doing is, so the ICO is considered maybe a little bit unlawful, unjust, maybe more inclined to it's just a fundraising event rather than offering any really solid blockchain foundation. They're offering, I think, a Visa type euro-based card, a Monaco banking card, and I think it's already going at the moment, so it might be live. So, and I do believe that in the future there's going to be a need and demand for cryptocurrency debit cards. However, I believe a lot of the major cryptocurrencies that make it through this event, this cryptocurrency event over the next 5 years, will come out with their own systems. And we might even move away from cards. It might be just straight from your phone, and these type of things, or even a little wristwatch or something like that. But, you know, people will go and are attracted to what they're comfortable with. So what this one is acquire this space, short-term to medium-term hold. I have done a video on Monaco, and then I got a little bit hammered by it, but a lot of people telling me to be very careful about it. I'm not invested in it, and I probably won't be. It's not what I'm interested in. Open Annex, or Annex, yep, OAX is a concept coin that is very early stage of funding, assuming that they meet their assumptions. Their first entry into the markets will be in early 2018. Just quickly read this. Acquire this space, Flutter, very long term. I haven't heard of it, go and research it. Rex, let me just keep, I've given you a little bit of insight here. Rex, very long term goal of 3 years to roll out the entire package, maybe too long to avoid the competition. This includes a pure Ethereum and ETH based listing. Acquire this space, cautious, acquire long term. I think everything's cautious. This is all very, very unknown territory that we're in. Again, don't know enough, can't say it. Skin Coin, a forecast in previous Bare Naked Wealth reports, the games meets coin sets are now being fulfilled by Skin Coin, as well as several others emerging from the network game space. So I think today Mobile Go just launched, which is a I don't know 100%, but it's connected to game credits. So go and look up Mobile Go. I know it's been entered onto Bittrex today, and I think it's got something to do with the gaming sector, and it might be their mobile version of being able to obtain credits for the gaming credits, and I think it is a separate entity. It doesn't get a mention in here, I don't think, but we'll soon find out. I do think the gaming sector is going to go very well. So Skincoin is definitely one. I'm going to look up Mobile Go as well. Mobile Go and Skincoin. And game credits, definitely. Now Skycoin, this is a more techies coin than most. So it's a niche coin by the sound of it. These are social network values associated with the coin that have very long-term existence in our data sets. The processing shows that several coin tokens will be at work in the darknet reorganization over the next few years. There are data sets now that are forecasting explosion of value within the darknet space over the next few years. The idea from the data sets is that a secret space enterprise will be funded by some form of darknet coin. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I'm in Verge. Now, Verge is a secure privacy coin, which is going to be looking for a market or a market share of the darknet in regards to people who want privacy in regards to their investments and their money, and I think that's highly valid. It's your money, do whatever you like with it. You don't have to go and tell anyone what you're doing with your life. I really truly believe that. I'm not worried about the 1% boogeyman. That's just the government trying to scare and fearmonger you into more controlling legislation, and I'm surprised so many people can't see that. They just think the government's there for them, and it's all very nice, isn't it? Moving on. So Skycoin, possibly. I'm not in it. Sonam, I have done a video on this before. Supercomputers. Golem, Sonam. It's got for acquire this space, Flutter, very long term. Now I'm going to wait for Sonam to come off the ICO and wait for it to hit the exchanges. I think Golem and Sonam are going to take years to manifest because it's very, very complex. Infrastructure is going to be required for that, and what they're talking about is getting supercomputer together with all the smart devices around the world and having them all linked to the blockchain instantaneously. So it's basically Skynet, which could be a bit scary, but it's also an AI, and I think be very worth watching Golem and Sonam for the long term. That's what I feel would definitely have in your portfolio. Golem's about 70 cents Australian at the moment. But yeah, do your own research. Status. Now this is on my Blockfolio. Status. It's a light client for the Ethereum blockchain that is intended to provide a smart device across the blockchain. In one view, the Status cryptocurrency can be viewed as being the use token of the community building adapt distribution or distributed application that intends to produce and support an interface to the Ethereum blockchain. Blah, blah, blah. Lots of language. So one to look, I think. One to look at. They've obviously spent some money doing some sponsorships on Blockfolio because it's at the top of my portfolio and I didn't even put it there. So definitely look up Status. I think anything that's got to do with infrastructure of the blockchain to allow seamless transition and better transactions and more adoption through the mainstream is going to be of high use, and it's definitely a technology niche which is in need for the cryptocurrency sector. So I think they'll, it says here, these tokens are likely to deliver a good first issue pop in price. Have a look at that one, write that one. ZR coin, I don't like the name, only because it doesn't roll. Zirconium dioxide. No, I'm just going to shit coins. Right, we don't want to get into these. Alright, I'm going to run through this. Shitcoins. Our shitcoins list mean that something does not smell right with these offerings. Either it is an outright scam or their mission, thinking, code or community does not pass muster with our standards. It does not mean these offerings will not gain in value nor persist, but it does not mean they will not be tracking their progress but it does mean that we will not be tracking their progress nor reviewing their status unless there are clear predictive linguistic clues to do so. Coins can be on this list due to their website linguistics being fuzzy relative to their niche and stated goal. The idea being that if they can't clearly express their intention and market deviation, the likely can achieve neither. It can also be that a coin makes it to this list due to vulnerabilities either in the coding approach for the coin or the underlying material world assets. So it's got Agorus, Agrello, MyBit, Acchain, OnPlace, OroCrypt. I haven't heard any of those, so I'm not saying they're shit coins, I'm just reading this, okay? So again, go do your own research. I tend to sort of stay away from things I don't understand unless I have done the research. Developing the continuing story. Now this is the interesting bit. This section discusses existent tokens, coins and clues as to future performance from our deep linguistic data mining. So we've got Bitcoin. Now I don't really have to say too much about Bitcoin. It's not going away. Now what it does have has Bitcoin being at 13,808 in early 2018. That's not long away. That's 6 months away, and it's what, 2,000 something now. It would have to go up 5 times more to reach 13. Now, as far as I know with the Webbot reports, it hasn't been wrong yet, which is a pretty good record. So regardless, I think as a really safe bet, and it's a blue chip, if you like, blue chip cryptocurrency is put some money into Bitcoin, you probably double your money at worst. And if it goes to 13, well, I think you're going to be pretty happy, even if you put $1,000 in there. You know, you make 5 to 6 times your money. So to acquire and hold. I don't actually personally hold Bitcoin. I've got all my money in altcoins, and I'm just doing what I need to do in that space. And obviously, any money that I do sell comes back into the Bitcoin space. Now, Bitcoin, I have heard about this, still showing in model space as being a long-term gain prospect, although very small within crypto space. The Bitcoin story needs to last through the next few months of hyperinflation and the sloshing of capital within cryptocurrency markets before the validity of the long-term data can be ascertained. So again, go do your research. Looks like it might be one to watch. I know that its market cap has gone right up. Now, Dash, while the previously discussed temporal marker of Dash, or for Dash coin, of the political resignations, likely US or UK, multiple announced in a single day, has yet to occur at the time of the preparation of this report. So that's interesting. They're talking about political resignations in the US and the UK, all within a day. So let's keep your eye out for that. The manifesting problems in the UK with the T-May administration are now fulfilling the language of the temporal marker to the level of 29% on our reconciliation. So the conclusion is that at this time that the Dash coin movements and prices forecast in bare naked wealth 2, both relative to the US dollar and other cryptocurrencies, will be emerging over these next few weeks. Now it's already had a little bit of a price pop, and I do believe it's going to keep going. They've just got future, 100% got a future. These sets have a pop scenario, so there's crocodile teeth. Just keep your eye on it. I think that's going to be with all of these coins. It's an acquire and hold. I've got a little bit of these, not a lot, but some. Digibot, now this is my favourite coin. It had a massive drop the other day. I do believe that the information cybersecurity section or part or niche of this industry is going to be probably one of the most sought after, outside of being just a cryptocurrency on its own. So apart from the monetary system, information management. So Digibot, a long-legged member of the global networks payment coin niche, Digibot is indicated in the data to find new outlets for its use case within this niche, as well as to make some explorations in new niche as well as new delivery systems. These are forecast in the data as bringing attention to Digibot. In the coin's favour is strong management, good technical concept vision, well-defined markets, and the language to support the same. Further, there are the required community and reward aspects for mining and other contributions to Digibot growth. Well established and growing, Digibot has long-term growth potential even as prices escalate in the shorter term. That's the best one so far in regards to the report. I've got Digibot. I tell my friends to get Digibot, which you probably shouldn't, because I can't make these forecasts, because you've got to go and do your own research, but I like Digibot. Again, it's not just about gaming and all this type of stuff, it's about information management and cybersecurity. Yet again, Dogecoin coin shows up as a beneficiary of the sloshing of capital into the cryptocurrency kennel. This dog is still showing up with fight in the price versus risk ratio that will be bolstered by the all-important community support aspect of a successful cryptocurrency. The Dogecoin references in the data persistent in indicating this coin is barking a lot, producing much excitement and jumping into your face periodically when you least expect it. Well, the thing about Dogecoin is it's got big market cap, lots of coins are out there. It hasn't really moved in price. It's still 0.004 of an Australian cent. You know, it's marginal. I think it's going to have a rise. I do believe it's going to go somewhere. I don't think it's got much development. When you go and look into it, there's not much on the website. It all looks good and well, but there's nothing really holding this coin up apart from it seems to be like a bit of a cult following. And there's a lot of money. They've got a big market cap. So Dogecoin, be careful, but I think you could probably make a short-term gain over the next 12 months. You could probably make 5-10 times your money, and after that you'd have to make a call. Ethereum, I don't think I need to say much about that. Eth's going to chase down Bitcoin. It says here 1,321. It'll be 1,321 when Bitcoin hits 13,800. So that's what, February 2018. So what's ETH now, 350 US or something? So getting in on that. Now I've got some, and I'm going to be just sitting on it. It's like my long term. But it's going to be jumping, bumping, volatile, and seemingly chaotic. And that's why the crocodile teeth and the ICOs come in, and the sloshing definitely going to happen with ETH. So with ETH, buy on a low, which is actually at the time of this video, I think it's recovered a little bit. It's pretty low. And I think you could probably buy and just hold, and you make 5 times your money. So ETH and Bitcoin are your two blue chips. I think Ethereum Classic is also a blue chip. I think it's a sleeping giant, in my opinion. The drag upward in price for ETC is indicated to be slightly faster than in previous months, with ETC reaching for all-time highs with more frequency. The data has some bursts to be followed by sloshing. As the price falls, the people will sell out and into other coins. These episodes are not indicated to significantly alter the progress of ETC in its general trend line as of early July. But as with Bitcoin, we'll be creating the teeth effect in the chart, which you could say with any of these coins. But I do believe Ethereum is undervalued at this stage, and it is definitely a $100 coin. However, you've got to go and look at some of their research and there's some of the development. When I last looked, I didn't have as much as I wanted for that particular coin, but I think Ethereum is going to pull Ethereum Classic along with it. Litecoin is having a big pump today, like I showed you earlier. The Bittrex shows lots of volume. Litecoin is having a bit of a pump, but again, it'll probably flatten out over the next 3 or 4 days, so be mindful. Just reading, Litecoin's the silver coin of the gold of Bitcoin, if you want to call it, gold and silver. That's sort of how it always was at the beginning. I've got some and I'm just holding it. It's not something I'm looking to make big money out of. I just got some because it's there. So it's an acquire and hold, long-term value, long-term potential. Look into it. Komodo, data still has Komodo to be acquire due to reward to risk ratio over time. Not much information there. I haven't actually heard of Komodo. Monero, I've got Monero. It's privacy based. They are about to do a whole heap of new development. They've got a whole heap of new things coming out. I'm not going to go and cover that right now, but when you go and look into what they're doing, they've got some development movements, which is great. Again, I think you'll see some long-term value. UBIQ, don't know enough about this. Outside issues of too tight control over coin issuance, a sign of a pump and dump. Risky space, early mover. I'm going to move on. Zcoin, steady progression within our data, but has more volatility than most alts over August. But again, that's very similar to ETH and some of these others. I think there's going to be a crocodile teeth. Look into Zcoin. I think Zcoin, or is it Zcash or Zcoin? Don't quote me on this. It's got a connection with Goldman Sachs or something like that. So big money has entered that space. Big money likes entering space and then exiting the space, I can tell you that, so be mindful. Zcash, acquire and hold. Use case shows as being the increasingly crowded anonymous payment space, but data has the currency out at least into next year and does associate it with some innovations. Acquire and hold. Non-mined coins. Now, this video is going on a little bit, and I apologise for that, but what page am I up to? 13. So let me just have a look. Golem, I do like Golem. It's very similar to Sonam in the sense that it's going to be a supercomputer. I do think that even this is showing a very intriguing space, very risky space. No successful ventures showing in this area through the next 19 months. So like I said, I think Sonam and Golem are going to take a lot longer to manifest because it's such a big space to fill, and a lot of infrastructure and coding and all of the stuff that they have to do has to be put into place first. Gnosis, don't know enough about this. I saw it is a bit of a niche. As an aside, the longer term data has a scandal breaking out within the prediction markets niche in the next few years that will shake that particular niche to its bedrock. So, not saying it's GNO, but whatever the niche that GNO is in, I'm sorry, I can't tell you what that is. So be careful with that one. Acquire to hold longer term. So Gnosis might be doing very well, but there might be something happening in its particular niche. Ripple, a very problematic offering in cryptocurrency markets. The Ripple coin still shows episodic growth, but is also indicated to have counter-cycle downswings. This suggests a periodic pump and dump is going to take place. Even with its valuations at this point, there will be some pricing moves that will allow for profits to be taken by the very nimble traders, but most speculators are likely going to little to no gain over the more staid levels of Bitcoin. I got out of Ripple. But, go do whatever you feel you want to do with your money. Sentiment, acquire the space, cautious, acquire and hold. Go and look into it, don't know enough about it, doesn't say too much. Veritasium, I've heard about this, other people have been talking it up. I have looked into, it's about smart contracts and private sales, and removing middlemen in regards to legal documentation, I think, in regard to these contracts in between entities. So I think that's going to be a major part of this market as well. If you think about information management, and then you've got how do we set up arrangements and contracts in a seamless environment. I think that's where Veritasium comes in. I don't actually have any of these. I probably should go and have a look. I don't know where to actually get them from. I have not seen them on my particular exchange, so I need to do a little bit of research. Sovereign tokens. I'm not going to go into this. Metal space, dirt space. Conclusion. Okay, conclusion. Two categories are not yet seeing in the rapidly boiling over emergence of cryptos into reality are waste handling and space-based near-Earth orbit industries. Yes, along with space coins, we are actually anticipating many real shitcoins. These will both be very good areas of crypto space. Well, I don't know if they were good areas, shitcoins. It's just what I was actually wanted to read. I'm going to get out of there. There's a nice little thing here. Be strong, be nimble, leap the teeth. Meaning buy on the low and hold. Then it goes into how he gets his reports and some definitions. Just going through this, it looks like I'm getting to the end, and I have. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with any of the how he gets his data, but that's all I had to do. Now, I did this just for a friend. He sort of do a report on it. Now I've got it. I've got that out. So what's going to happen in the future? There's some coins there. If hopefully you're writing them down. Some of the main players look like they're going to do well, but it all comes down to research, development, the future, patience, stack and hold, accumulate, keep your ear to the ground, buy some gold and silver on the side, just remove your dependency on government, don't get involved, be your own person, share how you feel, communicate with the people around you, and I think that life might be going through a new phase of development. It's going to be a little bit rough, it's going to get really rough, and then you never know, we might come out into the golden age. That's what they talk about. But there you go, that's the Webbot report. Have a great day. Let me know what you think below. I'd really like to hear what you've got to say about all of this. Hope this was of help to you, and if you're interested in this report, go and support Cliff High and what he's doing. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt. It's interesting. At least enjoy it, and that's what I'm doing. I like reading things and interpret it yourself. Don't just be a troll and tell him he's a loser and you don't like what he's doing. Go and read the report. Make up your own conclusions. Live your own life, and be kind to the people around you. Thanks, guys.